What are some socially acceptable things that shouldn't be? Going to work sick somehow makes you a team player. Saying a job is entry level, but you need 6 years experience. Company loyalty. It's completely fine and accepted for the employee to be loyal to the company. But it's also acceptable for the company to fire someone who's been loyal to them for years without even giving them an explanation. Unpaid overtime, taking pictures of strangers and uploading it on the internet. Really fucking rude and creepy. Only God can judge me. If you're a jerk, I'm judging personally. It's bringing a small child to an R-rated movie in theaters. If it's not appropriate, then don't go if you can't find a sitter. If I'm watching a horror flick or comedy flick with an R rating in theaters, I shouldn't be able to hear chattering and crying 5-year-olds. The definition of a successful career being related to income rather than job satisfaction. Beauty pageants, especially ones with children. Older family members constantly asking and pressuring younger people to get married and have kids already. Teachers carefully measuring girls' skirts for dress code violations. Obviously, if you can see someone's underwear due to a skirt or low pants mishap, then you tell them off, but there's something very not right about scrutinizing a kid's legs like that to make sure a damn 11-year-old isn't too distracting. Throwing cigarette butts on the ground, touching pregnant women's baby bumps is apparently socially acceptable. It should not be. Getting bullied in school because boys will be boys. That isn't a general quote BTW, that is what my principal said to my dad when we all had a meeting, because I was being bullied a lot. Telling people, oh, you're so quiet, when you are the one obviously uncomfortable with their quietness. Asking people when they are going to have children. It's such an invasive question, and one that has many potentially awkward answers. Wine mom culture, the idea that it's fun and quirky for a mom to need to drink excessively to deal with her kids and husband. No, it's not okay to drink half a bottle of wine before noon. The sensation in the media, and how little news the news actually delivers, demanding everyone comply with your alternate reality. A dozen is not fucking 50. Telling someone to smile. Thanks to this pandemic, I don't feel forced to please people anymore. Demanding someone, especially kids, to stop crying right that second. It's a natural emotion, how the fuck are you supposed to help it? I got constantly told when I was little to immediately stop crying, and when I didn't stop, my mom would raise her hand and say, I'll give you something to cry about. All that taught me was to hide my emotions, and that I wasn't allowed to have feelings like everyone else. Child pageants. Excusing bad behavior with things like boys will be boys. Kids will be kids. They are just having fun. Etc. Pre-COVID. Coughing in public without covering your mouth. I'm germophobic, and never understood why this was socially acceptable. Being asked to work off the clock. Checking work emails and texts at home is work, and should be paid. The fact that life revolves around work. You work 8 hours a day, 5 times a week to do something you enjoy for a few hours per weekend. Toxic relationships being promoted on social media. Looking at your phone while on a date, or out with friends at a restaurant. It makes me feel like I'm competing with their phone for their attention. Phone wins 95% of the time. Wearing way too much perfume. Using your phone on speaker in a public setting. Like a bus, or in a crowded room. The tips system for food services. Just pay your damn employees, don't make us have the guilt of paying your employees so they can live, Barbara. Holding on a call upwards of an hour to speak to a company's representative. Posting pictures of underage children on social media. And thank you, kind lady, for the award. It's the first for my Anon account. Edit for gratitude. Commenting on pregnant women's bodies. Or anyone's body for that matter. Playing your stupid shitty music on a stupid shitty portable speaker in public. Ever heard of headphones? The worst are these idiots that take their stupid shitty little speaker out on a hiking trail, because they are so stupid they can't stand the sound of nature for 2 hours, and also so selfish that they have to ruin it for everybody else. Spending the majority of your time/life working just to get the bare minimum comforts. Gender reveal parties. I think they are stupid, unnecessary, and a big ego boost for the people throwing it. I miss the old days, where you can just ask someone what the gender of the baby is as opposed to having to wait for months for some unique way to pop pink or blue confetti. In some cultures, oh, you have gained weight/lost weight/gotten darker/gotten lighter, seems to be a socially acceptable greeting. I've responded with, yes, so. As innocently as I could muster in the past. I think it's toxic to comment on others' appearance, one doesn't know how the other person feels about it. The other person probably owns a mirror and is aware. Worse, the other person might be going through a hard time that caused the change in appearance. In a 40-hour work week, verbal abuse and bullying being considered just a joke, and the victims of it special snowflakes, who get too easily offended. Openly commenting on a person's weight with an entitled attitude to tell them what they need to do with their body. I've been naturally and happily slender my entire life, however brought up in a culture where bigger is beautiful, and I've never once asked for anyone's advice or comments regarding my body. It would be nice for people to focus on themselves and have more educated conversations. Telling boys that they shouldn't cry. Growing up, I was naturally a sensitive boy. As such, I was more prone to crying than the rest of my siblings. I recall constantly being told that I must immediately stop crying, as boys don't cry. And when I'd continue crying, the older men in my family would ask me if I was a girl. It made me incredibly self-conscious, and made me feel like I wasn't really a guy compared to the rest of my male friends and family. It's the most sissy belief that boys ought not to cry. It's a fucking natural emotion, not a sign of weakness. If you cannot help it, how the fuck are you supposed to just stop crying being you're told to do so? I think we made some great strides in our current climate not to force these kinds of gender roles, but I still see this happening all the time. Being rude to food service employees, telling toddlers and children to give someone a hug or a kiss. No matter how old they are, it should be their choice. They should have autonomy over their body at all ages. Health insurance being treated like a privilege, telling women they provoke men with their clothing. Like F***CKU, my dresses have nothing to do with some men's inability to act civil. Influencers, 6-year-olds twerking, women hitting a man, publicly or in private, and the guy getting in trouble for defending himself. It is abuse plain and simple. I am a woman, but in my opinion, if you are big enough to give it then you're big enough to get it back. I don't throw hands often, but if it came to it, and it has in the past, where I've lashed out at someone, I'd expect the guy to smack me back. If I hit him, I might end up more pissed off, but I wouldn't press charges if it was provoked or in self-defense. Telling a girl or a woman to cover up if male family members are coming over. The post-COVID world is going to be really interesting. I've been back in my office since May, but most of the building is still WFH or trickling in. I went to get into an elevator the other day and a grown-ass woman just started humming at me. Like, exclamation. As I went to get in. Like, is this a warning you don't want to share an elevator? Are you listening to music? Are you a deaf mute? Just speak to me, lady. Making kids feel impolite if they don't want to hug/kiss someone. Teach your kids that they don't have to adjust boundaries to make other people feel more comfortable. Men aren't allowed to cry or show emotion, forcing kids to share their toys. Ask them to share. When they are done playing with the toy. Otherwise, You're just teaching them that they have no right to control their personal possessions. I thank you/Bred in Captivity for this idea. Pretending to be excited about babies, or when someone announces pregnancy. Edit. Also, men acting mean, it's not cool, just makes you look like an a-hole.